Want to turn your side hustle into a billion-dollar business? On today's episode, we're sitting down with someone who's actually done it. Bruce Cardenas, from Marine to LAPD to helping build Quest Nutrition into a billion-dollar business. And then, now with Legendary Foods, Bruce shares the real playbook for starting small, obsessing over your customers, and growing something massive. And also, I'm excited to let you guys know today we have a special guest host, Joe Angelo. If you've seen the podcast, you've seen it before. And together we are digging into Bruce's story and the lessons he's learned and how you can apply it to your own life and businesses. Let's jump in. Just for any entrepreneurs that are listening and who have an idea, but they don't know really where to start with things, what would you recommend?
You know, in the world we live in now, which I wish it was then, right? When we started with AI and chat, like you could literally ask Google, chat, YouTube, everything. And I learned this actually from one of my friends who was from China, barely spoke English. And I asked her, how are you? Because she started these little businesses and she said, Bruce, everything is on YouTube. And if I was a kid, oh my God, like I want to sell things online. I want to start a construction business. I want to start a website business. It's all available to you. And I think people overcomplicate things. As you're older, it's more complicated. I think when you're younger, it's just like everything's online.
Yeah.
Even to start an LLC, like how do I start a company?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, because my wife and I, we have a marriage coaching business. And so we're very at the beginning phases. This is our first year. We've been doing podcasts for a while, have over 100,000 followers online, all the stuff. So even for us, what would you say as we're running into the conversations of one-on-one, almost like a Zoom call for like sales with seeing if somebody wants us to
Retain them. Right?
Yeah, exactly. If they want to hire us to coach them. When you're hitting those roadblocks, because so many entrepreneurs at the beginning, they hit roadblocks, right? A lot of no's. How do you continue to push through to get to those yeses for the vision that you see as an entrepreneur?
That's interesting. I probably am not one to speak on marriages since I've failed, but that's an interesting business. Several of my friends do that. I think what you have to set yourself, I don't think it's any different than if you have a consumable item or a service like yours, a marriage counseling, what sets you apart? What are your call outs? Like, and I'll refer back to our company, low carb, gluten-free, high protein, right? Well, what's the difference between you? We offer unique counseling that touches spiritually or business, whatever. I'm just making this up as you go, right? But one thing I do tell people is be obsessed with your customers and not your competition. Because I'm sure people say, well, I was with this other counselor last year. And I think you have to set yourself apart on whatever your call outs are, you and your wife have to offer, and just run with that. I don't know what that is because I don't know enough about that industry, but yeah, like set yourself apart. Here's why we do what we do. Here's our couples retreats. Here's our unique offerings that you're not going to get from the Joneses. You're going to get from us because we've been together this long. We've raised kids. We have a moral compass. I think it's very easy to set yourself apart from everyone else. You know, there's 8 billion people, and I still think you're available. It's easy to still set yourself apart from 8 billion people.
Yeah. So you're really saying like niche down even further. Know what that.
Drill down. Yeah. Why are some couple going to hire you? What answers do you have that they can't find somewhere else?
Right. And then would you even say that then to the other entrepreneurs that aren't doing marriage coaching? You're like, hey, whatever your business is, whether it's Legendary, right? Like you just said, here's our 3 things: low carb, high protein. What was the other one?
Gluten-free. And there's many others, but you know, we are a healthier option then. We're an option than eating a Snickers bar or a Haagen-Dazs ice cream. We have an option.
So when you're creating Legendary food, but you didn't start in the food industry, in the health industry.
None at all.
What was your industry?
I was a dumb kid from New Jersey, literally. I failed out of, I don't know how deep we want to go, but I failed out of all my classes. I was run over by a car when I was a kid. Wow. Almost died. My classmate died in that accident, but they helped my parents. They caused me, I was held back a grade. Teachers and my parents decided I missed a lot of school, so I was immediately labeled and I thought I was slow. I failed every class, including to graduate high school. I failed my final test, so I had to go to summer school. If it wasn't for the local police chief, who I always wanted to be a police officer. My entire life I was going to be a police officer. I had this dream. My uncle was a police officer. My neighbor was a police officer. I went to the police chief after I got out of high school, and I was doing laborious jobs and realized, gosh, I'm just working now. I asked him to join the police department, and in his own kind words, he said, Bruce, you're young, dumb, and immature. I don't think he called me dumb, but that's what my takeaway was. But if you go in the Marine Corps, I'll hire you the day you get out. And I was still like, this is so weird. I have to leave the safety of my little hometown in New Jersey to go in the Marine Corps. But after some coaxing and, coercing, and I went in the Marine Corps, and that changed my life.
Wow.
So the Marine Corps then led to my boyhood dream about being a police officer, but it wasn't in New Jersey anymore. I ended up in California, where I joined the LAPD. And
How long were you in the Marines for?
4 years active, and I did another 8 in the reserves.
Wow. So 4-year active, 8 reserve. So then when did you get into LAPD?
So I got out of the Marine Corps, and my ex lived here, and we had 2 kids. So we were in California, and I started the process. It was a year process to become a police officer. Testing, medical, getting records from back east. And of course, back then, there was no instant, emailing. You had to mail records. So it took a year to get on. And it's interesting. I had to provide for my family. And I remember I didn't know really what skill set I had. I was a Marine, right? Mm-hmm. But I saw this ad in the newspaper looking for a car salesman at this new car dealership. And I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I was working as a trainer at Gold's Gym on weekends out in Fontana. I went to this car dealership and interviewed with the owner. And, I was a clean cut Marine and, looked squared away. And I said, I have no experience, but I think I could sell cars. And I ended up I started that day. He said, when are you available? I said, he goes, can you start now? And I'm like, okay. I was their number 1 car salesman for 1 year straight.
Come on.
Crushed records. And I really equated it to relationships.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about car salesmen. I mean, matter of fact, sometimes people would ask me about a specific model. And I say, that's a great question. Let's figure it out. Yeah. And people, because I was so authentically real, people kept referring people. And anyway, so that was a long story, but I got on the LAPD. It was a boyhood dream.
Well, there's two things where I want to go from that. Is because you've said this and Alec has shared it with me, the relationship aspect, you really focus on that. Yeah. But also, I bet there's a lot of men right now, and I'm sure there's some women listening to this podcast too, but when they know, like you said, like you had to provide for your family.
Yeah.
So what do you tell the entrepreneur that has these aspirations of starting legendary, of starting something that is, burning inside of them, but I need to make X, Y, Z to put food on my table, to pay the bills. So let's talk about that one first, and then let's move into the relationship.
That's an interesting question. So yeah, everyone needs to provide for the family. And I was almost I knew I was going to, here's one thing I learned from my father, work ethic. So I always knew I was going to be able to make money. If it wasn't digging ditches, it was going to be selling cars. So, and when I was selling cars, I told you I was working at Gold's Gym. And while I was working at Gold's Gym, I trained some guy who owned a construction company. And he said, Bruce, I have a construction company. Do you want to work for me? And I said, sure. By the way, the hardest job I ever did. I'm mixing concrete by hand and cinder blocks, but I just realized I can always work. I had 3 jobs going on until I became a cop. But one thing is, I know a lot of people have ideas and dreams and visions about starting a business. I call it start a side hustle. Don't give up your day job. I remind people, yes, you have a 9-to-5 job. What are you doing at 5 o'clock besides going home, having a glass of wine and relaxing? Well, how about working on that side hustle?
Yeah.
Shannon, who I'm here because she started a company called Quest Nutrition, Quest Protein Bars. She was making the bars in her kitchen by hand and strictly bringing them to boot camp. She was doing boot camps with her girlfriends on the weekends and, protein snacks. But her husband had the business sense to say, wait, I think we have something here. But my point is that was just her side hustle. I talked to so many people that want to start an apparel company, even a real estate business or a construction company. I said, don't quit your day job. Just start remodeling houses on the side, start selling real estate on the side, start making apparel on the side. But people always have, I think, a mental block of, well, I can't for some reason. Okay, great, you're raising kids, you're living life, but it's almost overcoming that obstacle of,
Yeah, I remember, who Gary Vee is?
I love Gary Vee.
Yeah,
My man.
Come on. I remember one time, this was years ago, maybe even one of the things that went viral for him first, but when he, people, Lost was really popular.
Yeah.
And the same thing, he's like, stop watching freaking Lost.
Right.
Start working on your side hustle, because again, so we're dads, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, but it's like, once we put our kids to bed, do I have time to work on that passion inside of me?
Right.
Or am I giving myself an excuse that, well, I did X, Y, and Z today, right? I deserve my time. Which again, I'm saying rest, right?
Sure.
Definitely rest. You have to be at that spot. But man, when you have that passion that drives you, like the podcast for you, like it drives you doing this.
And I think it kind of, for lack of better words, it kind of makes you from boys to men, where you have that drive in you, where when you do get home, you're like, oh yeah, I am going to do this, versus I'm going to go sit and watch TV for hours and just waste my time.
Yeah, listen, I have a lot of regrets. I could look back and say, I wish I did the following. And I always encourage people, listen, when you're in these 20s or 30s, think about where you want to be in your 40s and 50s. And maybe do that side hustle now so that when you are in your 40s or 50s, you sell it for $5 million and all of a sudden you're like, that's life-changing, or, generational wealth. And Gary Vee, it's funny, he's one of the few guys I follow, and I'm like, God, that guy just talks common sense, and he's an immigrant, poor as shit. And I know his goal is he's going to eventually buy the New York Jets. But, or the Jets, right?
Yep,
yeah.
the Jets.
He will do that. But he's a prime example. Like, put down your phone. Stop watching these reality shows and create your own reality show.
Yeah. That's good. So good. So Alec even said this on the drive here. You're very focused on relationships.
Yeah.
And what was your comment you said on the way here?
I said, I'm going to be the next Bruce Cardenas, because I feel like I just like to ask people. Like, a lot of people are scared to ask. Like when I just messaged you, like, hey, would you be down to be on the podcast? Like, a lot of people are scared to even do that. If I get a no, I get a no.
Yeah.
So I think it's just really cool that's going to. I was telling him, I was like, yeah, I'll be the next Bruce. I'll be the next relationship guy.
I don't know what that looks like. I'm not sure that's a high. You could probably exceed that expectation pretty easy. It is relationships, and I don't know where I figured it out, because it's not. I mean, I saw my dad in action. He was actually someone I really looked up to. It's crazy when you're a kid. What's that phase? You idolize your parents. And then you kind of demonize them when you're a teenager, and then obviously as you're older. My dad was like, he was a Jocko of that time, Vietnam vet, but he was involved with our Boy Scouts. He was our Boy Scout leader. He took us on hiking and all the stuff I learned, knots, all perishable skills. Learned how to shoot. Was my point to all that. He taught me those are all relationship skills, how to interact with other kids and how to do things, but it wasn't like pushed. It wasn't forced. As a matter of fact, I dropped out of Pop Warner football one year, and he wasn't one of those dads like, dude, get back in there. He's like, okay, if you don't want to do it, I get it. I can respect that. But what was my point to all that is, but he really forged the relationship thing with me, on how to interact with people, and it just came that way.
Because would you say that's really where success comes from? Your connections with people, the relationships?
Yeah, and it's, I say this because I do some public speaking. I always say this, and it's really truly who I am. I like bringing value to other people, and I have zero expectations. That's not a human trait. Most people are like, I'm going to give you this. What am I getting in return? And don't get me wrong. Sometimes I'm like, wow, I did a lot for that person. But I will, and maybe even as a human being, I'm like, wow, they're not really very give. I'm a giver. And people will never, I'll make 10 deposits in your account before you'll do anything for me. So that if you do anything for me, I feel really good about it. Like, okay, it's been a reciprocal relationship.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you modeled that even when we came here. You know, like here, like, hey, use the studio. Hey, take home some donuts. Hey, I got ice cream from another guy who's protein
because here's the thing. I think, listen, we all want to be talked about kindly, right? But I think we're in a position because we built this company that we want to offer to other cool people, because you're then going to do other great things for other people, right? This podcast is going to influence men around the world and women and couples. So why not offer it? I mean, and yeah, sure, you could charge someone a couple bucks for a studio. What does that get us? And it's more that we want to leave with good feelings.
Yeah. I think it's funny you say that when you want to lead with kindness. A couple episodes ago, we had a guy on named Curtis Morley, and he talks about counterfeit emotions and how nice and kind are the same, but they're not. And so to lead with kindness is amazing, because you'll have people that are nice to you all day long.
Right, yeah.
But like you said, they want something out of it at the end of the day. But true kindness is, I'm going to do it because I want to.
Yeah, and I've had to sift through people in my life. Like, there's people in my circle that are just constantly, I'll introduce them to someone, and 5 minutes later they're already like, well, want to make it a business. And I'm like, it's okay to just meet someone and be cool.
Yeah.
And I've had people literally 3 or 4 years I met them, they'll text me, hey Bruce, I don't remember me, but I met you at an event. I'm like, yeah, of course I remember you.
Wow.
I have this opportunity. I'd love to tell you about it. And, I always tell people too, give everyone 5 minutes in your life.
That's good.
I learned that from Dave Meltzer. He, when he speaks in public, he'll put his phone number on the screen, his real phone number.
Yeah.
And he said only a small percentage ever take advantage of it because they'll think, can I really text that guy?
Yep.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. Here's my phone number. Text me. Worst case is we have a 2-minute conversation and it goes nowhere.
Oh, good. So we can get your number after.
Yeah, absolutely. No, because here's the thing. I figure this, like what is the worst case? Unless you end up with some wacko, right? But I mean, someone's got an idea. I because we're in the food business now, I quickly want to talk you either doing the business or getting out of it. Because some people have an idea. Like there's a saying, just because you're a good chef does not mean you should own a restaurant. Just because you're a good baker does not mean you should own a bakery. Because then you're in the then you're in business. It's like, wait, I enjoyed making desserts. Now I got to figure out finance and employees. So I will be quick to tell you, continue baking. or same thing with apparel or construction company or any business. I'll be like, is this really what you want to do? Or it sounds good because you saw your friend driving a cool car.
Right. Because there's a huge difference between being the owner, the entrepreneur, the business leader versus just getting paid to do it.
Paid. Yeah. And by the way, I think Gary Vee, someone said, it might be Gary Vee again. Some of his happiest friends are people that make $60,000 a year and go to Disneyland on their vacation and camping once a week. He goes, and then I have miserable people who make $10 million a year and they can't even wake up happy. Come on. So it doesn't really matter.
It's what brings you joy?
What brings you joy?
In our world, with social media, with technology, we're seeing what everybody else is doing all the time. It's like, oh, to be successful, I need to start legendary, right, foods and make sure that I'm making protein donuts. And it's like, but that's actually not why God created you, and you're now miserable. And like you said, even you have a full bank account, but you're like, this sucks.
Yeah, no, and I have more people I know that, and I've sadly, because I was in the executive protection business, I've had multi-millionaires commit suicide.
Wow.
Worth $300 million. And I'm like, what happened to them? Because they couldn't exceed what they lived for. No longer was meaningful. So yeah. And listen, if you want to start your donut business, start it, but start selling it at a farmer's market and get your friends to embrace it. And if it goes somewhere, great. If it doesn't, maybe you just have a side hustle where you're making an extra $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And you're providing for your kids' college fund.
Yeah. Well, side hustle with an extra $100,000 a year is a good side
Well,
hustle.
yeah, I'm saying whatever the number is, you know?
So here's like you even saying that, you're saying it's okay to start small. Don't expect 100%. Your side hustle to take off overnight, because so many times we think there's overnight success, right?
Yeah. And here's the problem, and I know it because I get caught up in it. I look at social media, I'm like, is that guy really like, you get caught up in the yachts, the Lamborghini, you see things and you think, is that real? No, it's not real. It's just, but who cares? Like, just start your side hustle and don't get caught up in the Joneses. And it for sure start out small. Too many people. I just met with a guy. I gave him some free advice. He wanted me to meet him. He has a consumable item. I won't say what the company is, but he said, I got this great item, and I met him in his office, and he went on to tell me, I have a CMO, I have a VP of marketing, he has like a staff of 6 people, and he told me about his budget. I said, well, what's your budget for getting product in people's hands, sampling? He has a cookie. He said, well, our team's working on that now. I go, what's that mean, working on it? I said, you just told me a payroll of like $40,000 a month. Well, they're planning. I said, no, let me just unwind you for a second. You have a cookie. Have you and your wife sampled it to everyone you know? Well, yeah, our family and friends love it. I go, that's your first problem. Family and friends, what do you think they do?
I'm just going to tell you they like it. Yeah.
They lie to you. Mm-hmm. It's like when you go to everyone's ever gone to the grandma's house and she makes that homemade lasagna. You're like, oh, I'll eat it. Your friends and family people cannot help but lie to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. Mm-hmm. And he was almost appalled. I said, you need to get this cookie into strangers' hands. At the gym, at the market, just say, hey, you want to try and give me an honest feedback. So anyway, I said, I'm not trying to hurt anyone, but you need to unwind your company.
For sure.
All your money needs to go to making cookies and getting in strangers' hands and get feedback and start small. You're wasting $40,000 a month on payroll. And he actually did just that. But my point is this, start small. I don't care what the business is, construction, solar panels, just start small.
Well, I mean, you even bring that up. That's what you did, right? Like you were handing out protein bars at Gold's Gym.
Yeah, I literally, and I never finished the story. I started this executive protection business out of necessity because I wasn't making enough money as a cop. And I started working moonlighting for this guy, and I gravitated to her because I figured out I was a servant leader. In the Marine Corps, I figured out I was a servant leader. I didn't even know what that word meant, but now I've phrased it. But while I'm doing all this hustle in business, I run into Shannon, who goes by Quest Creator. It's important to know that, Quest Creator, in the gym. Fast gym acquaintances, and then she gave me a couple protein bars. I really liked them, but what I really liked is their energy. Her and her husband had such great energy. They're making them by hand in their kitchen. And I just started helping them build relationships. I was doing tremendously well in the protection business. I was fine. But because they were so cool, I remember I said to her one day, I said, I'm doing this security at a celebrity golf tournament. If you want to get me some bars, I can't get them into talent's hands, but I knew the PR person. So I gave them to my friend Cheryl, and she got them in all these celebrities' hands. Before social media, by the way. Facebook just started. But she got people to do some blogs on camera, and I just kept doing that. I got on the set of the early days of the Kardashians because I was doing work with them. Mario Lopez on the set of Extra. And I just helped. All I did was just give bars out. And after 9 months, they were like, Ron was like, this is weird. Like, we're stealing from you, basically what he said. You're bringing us all this value. And I remember I said to Ron, I said, but I get free protein bars. And he laughed and he said, you're worth way more than that. And he, put me on the payroll as like a monthly stipend. And then what happened was something kicked inside me because that whole work ethic thing with my father. And I used, every dollar I made was like valuable to me when you're a kid. And I really kicked into overdrive. I never told them that, but because I started getting paid, I was like, okay, now what do I got to do?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I got my day job, but now I really got to prove myself. And I went full force. Wherever I would average, like if I went to Gold's Gym in Venice, which is where my workouts are, I'd go on a Saturday, I could spend 5 hours there. I'd work out, go eat, but I'd give out samples, go back to my Jeep, get more samples. And over a course of time, everyone just knew me as the protein bar guy.
So for those entrepreneurs that are starting today, you didn't have social media the way we do today.
No.
Because if I was doing that protein business, right, I could then just show people, hey, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever. What were you doing once given those bars, or maybe even today, what would you tell guys that, hey, this is what you're trying to get in people's hands, and then here's the next step to get them to become potential customers?
The narrative's not much different. I would give them people, and one thing I've modified and we've done is like if I ran into you at the gym, I'd give you two, and I'd say, hey, here's one for you, and here's one for your significant other friend if you want to share it with somebody. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting. I was at a CrossFit event. I got us involved with CrossFit, and some woman was talking to me, and she said, let me follow you on Instagram. I go, I don't have one. She goes, give me your phone. She just said my account. She goes, you're going to build a protein company. You have an Instagram. So I don't think it would be the same conversation. I am not big personally. For those of you that are old enough to remember the movie Fight Club, there's a first rule of Fight Club. We don't talk about it. I literally, to this day, and some of the biggest names in the world, I've given them product, and they'll say, I'm going to do an Instagram story. I say, no, please don't. I don't want you to. Now, they ultimately do it, but if I run into your Gold's Gym today, I'm like, hey, if you want to do an Instagram story and tag us and post us, if it comes up in conversation, great. If it doesn't, I don't care. Yeah. But that's really authentically, and I'm sure you've all experienced it. People want to send you, hey, I'm going to send you something. Can you tag us and post us and be an affiliate? Yeah. Sure. But that's not how you build a brand. Yeah. You got to get, whether it's a product, a service, or an experience, and I say it best. If people like you, they're going to listen to you, right? So I think I'm likable. I give you a protein bar. We're friends. Cool. I may never see you again. And if they trust you, they're going to buy. Over time, they're going to buy your product. But really, more importantly, if you transform people's lives, they're going to tell 10 friends. They're going to do the highest mountaintop to give your name. And that's kind of what happened at Quest. Like, people started writing us early on, like on Facebook and blogs, saying, I've lost 30 pounds over the last 4 months because it was my go-to snack. Wow. I've got diabetes and my blood sugar doesn't spike. I've got celiac disease, which I didn't even know what that word meant when I first, and I'm able to digest your bars. I've had gastric bypass surgery and I could chop them up and it doesn't affect my stomach. So I say it best, we went from being a protein bar company to a mission-based company. And anyone can do that. If you have a service or an experience, think about that. Go from just being a service to changing people's lives. Come on. They're going to tell 10 friends. 100%. Now, so that's kind of the model we worked. So I'm still, nothing has changed in my life. When I leave here, I'm going to go to an event and we'll give out product. And I don't care. Post about it. Don't post about it. You're going to tell 10 friends ultimately, maybe not. And if you don't like us, okay, that's okay too. But, that's kind of the marketing method for us, for me.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like that at old school. It's kind of like word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works. I promise you. The only thing you cannot do, and some people I talk to get a little frustrated because you can't outmarket a bad product or service. You can't outmarket it. You can see people spending ungodly amounts of money on ads and search engines, all the if people try your product, they're just not going to reorder it. And you can and flood them with ads. The key thing is you have a good product, and then it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
It becomes a magnetic product. So we're talking about food, because it's easy for me now. As my friends will be like, Bruce, you won't believe it. We're in Walmart. I go, that's amazing. That's amazing. I said, make sure it gets off the shelf.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I said, it's easy to get on the shelf. It looks pretty, but you want to make sure that stuff's flying off. And I'll have friends 6 months later say, hey, we got kicked out of the store.
Dang.
What happened? We weren't moving because they tried it and they didn't like it.
Wow.
And you have to accept that because then, okay, what do I do? And the problem is too, the donut you leave with today here will not be the same in 6 months. We will be reformulating until no different. And I say that marriage counseling, you're always going to be reformulating, right? What's not working?
Yes.
Doesn't matter with business.
Yep.
But people get stuck in their way. I made this product. I have this service. I'm a therapist. I'm going to stick with my formula because this is what I learned in medical school. It's funny. My daughter's a nurse, and she'll say, "Well, Dad, we talk about nutrition, and we definitely do not see eye to eye." And I go, "That's because what you learned in medical school. I get it, but they're teaching the same food pyramid from the 50s."
100%.
But she'll get all like, I go, "That's just fact life. You always have to be evolving yourself, right?"
Yeah. And so you.
I hope some of this makes sense.
It does. It does. So did amazing with Quest. Quest ended up becoming worth how much?
Sold for $1 billion cash,
$1 billion
which is called a unicorn in business. It's very rare. There's only been, I'm going to make up a number, but there's a small number of companies that have been a unicorn. Companies have sold for billions, but a lot of it's stocks and options and all kinds. But it's $1 billion cash.
$1 billion cash.
Yeah. To Atkins, which is a.
Oh, really? That's who bought it, Atkins.
They're a public company. I think they're called Simple Foods or something. But yeah, they purchased it. Yeah.
Connected with Atkins Diet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
So now they own Quest.
Yep.
And so then how long after that did you get bored of just having $1 billion in your bank account?
Well, it wasn't my account. It was the owners, and then we had we were part of the equity pool, but we weren't bored at all. So Ron, who's the visionary, Ron Penna, who started Quest with Shannon, he knew actually 2 years before we sold. We knew we were going to sell, and he had this idea. So we started out a year before we actually sold. We were just we made sure the investors were cool with this. So we had like a non-compete, right? Mm-hmm. He said, I want to start this side hustle. He literally said to them, and they said, yeah, no problem. He said, we're going to make nut butters and seasoned nuts. So for the first 3 years, all we made was literally nut butters. So because we couldn't do protein, and it was Legendary Foods, and we worked. It was very unique for me. We sold Quest, but we had started Legendary a year before. So I was working at Quest, and I'm going helping. We worked out of Ron's old house, literally out of his house. And we started a small group, and then it evolved. And once Quest was completely clean, we were sold, and I had no obligation there. It was full bore with Legendary. And then I think 3 years in, we started making the pastries, and then protein. So we added protein once the non-compete was up.
So, but just for everybody out there listening right now, you guys had $1 billion business.
Yeah.
And started a side hustle.
Yeah. Ron and I are both. I think Ron has a book. Him and I are writing a book separately, but I think his might come out first. But I think it's something about side hustles.
Gosh.
Because Quest started out as a side hustle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were making bars in a commissary at night, a kitchen commissary, which is another thing I tell people. If you have an idea for a product, just rent kitchen space, or first make it in your house, right? But if you got to get to the point where you scale, there's kitchen space in every city in America, where you can go in and make meals. But yeah, it was a side hustle. Wow. And Legendary truly was a side hustle because he emphasizes to all of us, and it's something people can't get their head around, saying, well, this guy made $1 billion. Why aren't you just then buying a 100,000 square foot warehouse and just starting over? We didn't know it was going to work.
Yeah.
So we worked out of his house. We did the R&D out of his house. We went to I have to find the pictures. We went to
Before you keep going, that goes back to the guy you just met with the cookies, right?
Yeah.
He's spending $40K on
payroll and an office
and
space.
You're like, listen, we were already had $1 billion organization. We didn't know if the next thing was going to work, so we start small to not just burn cash, because that's what that guy was doing.
Yeah.
And you're like, don't burn cash. So again, some people out there might have the greatest idea in the world to their family and friends, but they might just be burning cash. So you're saying start small. See if it's something that's actually going to gain traction.
Absolutely.
And it's going to become lucrative versus now you're putting your family in a tight position because you have a payroll for a company that's not even a company.
Exactly.
It's a one-man show.
Yeah. Don't go out. You want to start a construction stuff. You don't have to go out and buy a new F1 350 fully loaded. Start out with a used truck to see where it's going to go before you start, But I'll have to find the pictures, and it was painstaking because, we had started Legendary out of his house, and then we would have to go to the kitchen commissary in Pasadena. And literally, I'm not exaggerating, the lab coat and the hairnets and putting almonds in these big tumblers and the seasoning. And we did it all by hand and packing them, sealing them. And in my mind, I even thought, gosh, I wonder if we're going to be big, or is this going to just be a peanut butter company or nut butter company? And it evolved. But the interesting thing is all the people, Ron's got a very unique perspective on how he offers people things. So there was a handful of us he brought in, I think maybe 6 or 7 of us. And he said, we're starting out small. We're working out of my house, obviously, but he gave everyone this opportunity, and it's interesting how people took it different ways. He said, tell me how much money you need to make. Now, privately, he said, just message me what you need to make. And I had no idea. My message to him was, I don't need any money right now. I think I've seen this movie before, how it plays out. Because I helped them for 9 months for free. Mm-hmm. Now, I didn't know what other people asked, but as time went on, I found out because people started disappearing. And some guy, I guess, said, I need X amount a month. I have a child at home. Instead of thinking, wait a second, this guy's already had a successful $1 billion company. I'm going to hook my wagon to that train. Yeah. They were looking at, I need immediately, and they're all gone.
Wow.
All of them are gone because they thought about themselves before, I think, the mission of the company. Now, maybe I'm an anomaly. I don't know. But I had gotten paid from Quest, and I had my protection business still. So I was like, we're starting out small again.
Yeah.
But not everyone has that mindset. They're like, I need this much money a month. Mm-hmm. And in retrospect, I would have told those guys, get your own side hustle going. Yeah. You got to pay your bills. Anyway, that's just my perspective on life.
I love that.
Yeah.
For guys who are, in their 30s, 40s, 50s, a little bit older, and they're trying to start this, what's some advice you can give them? I know we've gone over a lot. And then also, is there anything that you see that maybe over the next 5-10 years that is going to be big, or is like people are missing now?
Well, one thing I will tell you, being in the just food and beverage space, that's never going away. I remember one time Ron said, Bruce, you got to think about this. When Quest was getting some success, he goes, while we are sleeping, people are eating. Mm-hmm. And that's true about a consumer life. That's never going to end.
Yeah.
I know AI is a big future. I fear for some jobs that maybe if you're an editor or a writer, there's going to be people you need to switch gears. I'd start looking at things now because there's AI is like writing books for people in 5 minutes. So AI is going to be a big part of our future. I don't know. And I love the food space. It's never going away. I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Yeah. Is there anything that you see like could be like kind of like you were talking about niching down, like you guys have the protein, anything like that people that are interested in the food space? I will tell you this one thing: we're not married to anything. Like if we found, and by the way, because at Quest we there was a study and we found out our fiber source was not accurate, so we switched. I told you the donuts you try today will be different 6 months from now. Mm-hmm. We're not married to something. If we find there's something new that is changing the world or lifestyle, we'll change with it. Yeah. That's another thing. People are willing to change with, adapt, right?
Yeah.
Like there are going to be people that are going to die because of AI. Mm-hmm. Not literally die, but they're going to be like, wow, why didn't I get with the program? Why didn't I figure out how to do this? So no different than food space. You have to always adjust and adapt. And I keep going back to construction because my son does construction. You always have to adapt. What's working? People are using recycled items now or things in construction. You have to go with the times, Yeah. And we're a very green state, so you have to always think about what your customers need. So.
Yeah. Well, like what you're saying, even like for food, for construction, for marriage, for father, it's the R&D, research and development.
Yeah.
Am I researching what's working, what's changing? Again, using AI to my advantage, because again, it's like you said, some people they're gonna struggle because of it. Some people that are smart are gonna thrive because of it. Because now they've just saved themselves 15 hours a week because they're delegating to AI.
There'll be kids. I ran into I say kid, everyone's a kid to me, right? But 19-year-old, he goes, I do websites, and he goes, Bruce, it's almost criminal. Like I'm charging people, but I'm making a website within a couple hours for them, which would have, normally pay someone $5,000 and 6 weeks later. The world's changing and evolving. You have to adapt.
And that's the thing. You said a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
We have some friends of ours. They're in their 30s, and they work for an organization. It's what's it called? It's in integrity. Anyways, it has to do with tech and stuff. And anyways, they thought, let's start building websites for people. And I told them, I was like, same thing, to do that quicker, to generate more revenue, get AI on it. You don't have to be the one building it, especially when you're coming up with templates or whatever and having AI. So anyways, to your point, actually utilizing technology out there.
It's not, listen, I'm not the most tech savvy. I told you, I turn on my phone quite confidently, but when we're setting up this, I wish I knew more, and I'm trying to learn quicker, because I was at an event about 3 weeks ago. I spoke, and the host, his daughter was in the audience, 14 years old. She gave me her book, and she goes, I'm working on my second book. I said, that's amazing. She goes, yeah, it was all through AI. And I'm like, looking at this book like, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, so the world's changing.
It is changing.
It doesn't mean things aren't going to, there's going to still be some consistency in life, right? There's always going to need marriage counseling, but I think everything's going to be evolving.
Right. So. Yep, 100%. All right, can we do some rapid fire questions?
Oh, yeah, shoot.
All right, let's do this.
I'm a Marine, so slow.
All right.
No kidding.
Biggest business book that changed your thinking?
Extreme Ownership by
Jocko. So good.
I'm just saying, there's one I could think of.
Yes, so good. Best investment you ever made? I think I know the answer.
Do you? That's going to sound kind of cliche in myself, but I don't. What's the answer?
I was just going to say the best investment was Quest.
Well, that was the best. And by the way, there was no monetary. I didn't invest anything. That was all.
But your time.
Yeah, time. It was all sweat equity. Can I say something else about Quest? Because there's opportunities for people. When I tell people the Quest story, people, oh, you got lucky. It was timing. I said, no, I showed up. I brought them value. I could tell you stories on and end, but one thing, as I was doing all this stuff, Ron said it early on. He still says it to this day. He goes, I have 99 problems in this. I have 99 problems every single day. He goes, help take problems off my plate. You know, most employees just bring problems. Mm-hmm. I ended up becoming an entrepreneur with an I, an entrepreneur inside their organization. I kind of ran my own show. They said, we want to build out the company. So I built out the events department, the ambassador program, built all these relationships, all the outside partners. I say that because everyone has that same opportunity inside their company. They don't believe they do, because they'll say, well, I work in accounting. Well, have you ever gone over to another department and say, hey, is there anything I do to help you on the side? On my lunch break, I'd like to learn more about marketing. Our company is the best example of that. We have a research and development, one of the biggest, probably one of the most successful R&D departments in the food space ever. There's a lot of them are just kids. We have 19-year-old kids out of school that just are foodies. They want to learn. Those opportunities are here. And if you're working in a company in finance, you want to spend an hour in R&D, see if it's really your passion play. Someone just started working in our creative department because they didn't want to do what they did. So anyway, I got a little sidetracked. Those opportunities are inside companies, but people make excuses why they're not.
Do you think some people think they're entrepreneurs because they have ideas, but they're actually not just using those ideas internally for the company already? Like you said, an entrepreneur, is that how you call yourself?
With an I, entrepreneur. Yeah, like people, I mean, listen, here's the thing. Test yourself out as an entrepreneur before you become an entrepreneur, right? Mm-hmm. Like say you're just working inside of a company, say, well, I really can't even manage what I'm trying to do here. How am I going to step out and really be responsible for other people's lives? Entrepreneur is the best way. Wow. But you know, I will say this, because people saw me in action. So they saw what I was doing. And when Instagram was relevant, people started following me. I traveled 40 weekends a year for 4 years straight.
Wow.
To build the brand. I became obsessed with the brand. Mm. But what was interesting is people would come to my office, or we'd have a marketing meeting on Mondays, and they'd say, Bruce, wait, you were just in New York at a CrossFit event. I go, yeah, that was yesterday. That was Sunday. Most people, and it happened because they would be like, I'd have to take 3 days off because I was traveling, but I showed up every day. People would say this to me. A lot of kids would say, hey, can I join you at the next event? I'd say, absolutely. I'm going to go to San Diego this Saturday for an event, whatever it was, mastermind. Oh, that's my boyfriend's birthday. That's my girlfriend's, whatever. No one ever showed up. I'd offer it to them, but no one ever showed up because they were happy with their life. They were 9 to 5. They thought they wanted to participate, but every time I offered it, there was one kid who one time came to my office. She was an intern. And she came and said, hey, I saw what you're doing. I'd like to join you. I'd like to learn what you're doing. I'm thinking, here we go again. I said, tomorrow night I'm doing a movie screening in Hollywood. A friend of mine invited us. We're gonna bring like 10 bags for the actors and cast and crew. And She showed up. She was actually there before me, which broke one of my rules because I'm always early, right? And I'm like, geez, she beat me here. And then she showed up at the next event and the next event. And I was like, wow, this woman is like interested in a side hustle. Fast forward, she left Quest. She's now the CMO at a a publicly traded food company. She's a millionaire. Oh. And occasionally she'll text me and say, hey, thanks for showing me what it is to build relationships. Kind of cool. That paid itself for me. That was like more rewarding than anything.
Huge.
But no one else ever took advantage of it.
Mm-hmm. So even you saying that, for everybody that's watching, it's like, what are those little opportunities that maybe a business owner, somebody in the business, just a relationship is offering? Are you recognizing that potential opportunity? What's the best investment you ever made?
Well, obviously I use the word myself, but Quest for sure. That was the best. I think the security company, but Quest was probably the best.
Well, I heard somebody say the other day that I can't remember the quote exactly, but they're like, the biggest gamble that I've ever made is on myself, but it's because I believed in myself. But also with that gamble, I knew there would be failing. And so I already understood I'm going to fail, but I believe in myself, so I'm going to keep going even past the failure.
Yeah.
So is that what you're kind of saying when you believe like the best investment was in yourself?
100%, because listen, I like I said, I'm that dumb kid from New Jersey. When out of necessity, I knew I have to do this. I might fail because I don't, like when I started doing the protection business, I was like, oh God, I don't know. And all of a sudden it's a multi-million-dollar business, but because I just kept building relationships and working hard, I think working hard overcame any lack of the other things that I lacked, you know? But yeah, what option do you have?
Yeah.
If you're not going to bank on yourself, how are you going to even have a significant other or a family that they're going to look for you for leadership and support and providing if you can't dig in and do it, you know?
Yeah.
So for us and for the guys out there, you're saying, hey, plan to fail.
Yeah.
But be all in on yourself.
Yeah. Listen, I failed. The security company really scared me. And it was an eye opener because I was doing quite well. And I remember my bookkeeper, Renee, to this day, she called me on a Monday and said, hey, your payroll's due on Friday, Bruce, and it's $75,000. I'm like, okay. She goes, yeah, you only have 25 in the bank. And I was like, what's that mean? She goes, you have all this outstanding accounts receivable. Studios owed me like a lot of money. And it was such a wake-up call because so what happened was I had to cash out my pension fund from the LAPD to cover that, and which was devastating because today it'd be worth a lot of money. But I learned a valuable lesson. I had no CPA, no accounting. By the way, I had no masterminds. I had not one person I can call and say, hey, I need $100,000. How do I do that? I went to the bank and they said, yeah, fill out this paperwork. We'll get back to you in 2 weeks. I'm like, no, I need the money like today. So my point to that is I failed. Like I almost was in bankruptcy court over that. And I struggled for the next year to I was chasing the money and I'm thinking, wait, I finally hired an accountant. I said, how am I doing $3 million a year in business, but I'm on the brink of going out of business every week because I can't meet payroll. So yeah, it was scary. Yeah. So
that kind of goes into our next question. Like what's one of the worst business mistakes you've made and what did you learn from it?
One of the worst business mistakes I made, bringing a partner in. You know, that's like a marriage, right? I think you got to do a lot of dating before you decide to get engaged, right? And I met a guy and he kind of wowed me and I got all these relationships and it was in the security business and he said, and I took everything on face value and it was the worst and I made him a partner in my company and because I just started helping Quest, it's like, oh yeah, I can have someone help me and all of a sudden he was making poor decisions. People were upset with him. We got a lawsuit that he walked away from and moved, and I had to pay out of my pocket $160,000 cash to someone because we got caught up in a business deal. And so I learned several things. Partners are great, but God, you better know them. You better be intimate with them. How deep are they invested? No different than a marriage, right? Yeah. And it was a valuable lesson. And I one of my other guys who was working for me as an employee, but he observed this and he pulled me aside one day and said, Bruce, I see you brought in this partner. I don't feel good about this. He goes, I need you to understand something. Not all money is good money because I got a little blindy. So I'm going to bring this business. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I got caught up in the moment of, okay, I have someone that's going to do all this for me. And it turned out not all money is good money.
That's a good quote right there.
Yeah, not all money is good money. Don't think because someone's got millions that they're doing it right.
Dang.
Yeah.
Well, also it's like, right? Like, I mean, the old adage, not putting the the carriage before the horse.
Yeah.
You know, the Bible talks about not casting pearls before swine.
Right.
So again, it's like, this is your baby, you know, like your company that you created, and you think, oh, this dude's going to help me. And all of a sudden he's trampling all over your pearls. And
Changed
it's
everything. Yeah, my moral compass, everything. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, you're doing things, saying things that I don't believe in. And
Wow.
yeah. It really derailed me mentally and financially.
Well, let's talk about that, because I mean, so many guys that struggle with mental health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're starting a business, or maybe they're in a business already, and they're at that spot, they feel like, man, I thought I had a guy I was going to partner with in this business, and I'm just getting punched in the gut. He's not doing what he said he was going to do. The finances, whatnot. What did you do for your mental health during that time?
You know, it's interesting. I've done okay in that arena. I've always broke it down like this. I think my dad might even like thought like this. I will always be okay. I can always work, right? So I thought, okay, I'll be able to eat. I'll have a gym membership, and I'll have clothes on my back. I never really thought, like, people getting that caught up. Oh my God, I'm going, like when I had the lawsuit, I was like, God, oh my God, how am I going to pay that? Okay, wait, Bruce, you can pay it. Make monthly payments. I've never got too caught up in, I talk to guys that get depressed over, to me, it's crazy stuff. I think we're all are going to be okay. It's just sometimes people like lose sight of, like, I don't know, reality of, you know, and I get it. You're married, you have kids. Okay, I have to provide for that family, but I've just been able to manage stress a little differently. Yeah. I just wake up thinking, okay, I have food, shelter, and a gym. I mean, I know it's funny I say gym membership, right? But that's just important to me. Yeah. And my cell phone turns on. Yeah. I just, even to this day, if everything collapses, okay, I guess I could sell cars if I had to, or I don't know, I could market for somebody, right?
You're like, there's always a plan B.
There's always something.
Yeah.
Yeah, to pay the bills.
Yeah. I think that's where usually I fall, is that, well, if this fails, like, it's kind of like writing it down. Mm-hmm. If this fails, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
Right? Like, am I going to die? No. Is my family going to die? No. Right? Like, am I going to feel like a failure for a second? Probably.
Sure.
You know, am I going to lose money? Yeah, because I was gambling on myself. I believed in myself, right?
Yes.
But sometimes we let that fear cripple us from, again, the side hustle that becomes legendary foods.
Right. Or anything. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What's one skill every entrepreneur or intrapreneur must develop?
Listening. The ability to listen to others with not replying, to understand them. There's three kinds of people in the world. And I'll tell you another side note. My first training officer, Bob, when I was a police officer, I was in roll call. He was an old crotchety guy, already had 25 years in a job. And I remember they said, Cardenas, you're with Bob. I walk out to the car. He didn't even say hi to me. He said, grab the equipment. I'll meet you out in the parking lot. I grab the equipment. I get to the car, get in the passenger seat. He's already got there's a notepad between us. He's got this big, it's a face, a big circle with two big ears and two big eyes and no mouth. He said, that's you. And you do a lot of looking and listening and no talking. Are we clear? And I'm just like, yes, sir. I'm out of the Marine Corps. And as we got warmed up, he was a former Marine, but obviously older than me. And, you know, we had some things in common. And then he started saying, listen, Bruce, he goes, the greatest skill you're going to learn in life is listening. Listen to people with the intent to understand them. And as a cop, you go on these calls and, you know, domestic violence. And I realized, just listen to what people are saying. Don't get all heated. And now in business, listen to people. Most people don't listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. They're already formulating a reply before you finish the sentence. You see it. You talk to someone about business, they're already, oh, yeah. And then there's the worst kind of person, don't even listen. They're just overriding you. And salespeople are famous for that. Some people I deal with are famous for that. They don't hear what the buyer's saying. They don't hear what the customer's saying. They then try and convince you of something else. So anyway, to answer your question, listening is the single greatest skill any human being will. And I don't know if it's cliche, but what's the biggest complaint women have about men? They don't listen. Listen to what listen to what everyone says, and then evaluate. And it's okay. How do I reply to that?
Yeah. My wife and I, we just did a podcast on that, on, you know, the way you just said the title, You're Not Listening, you know, but it's so true because everybody communicates, but not everybody connects. And so how am I actually connecting with that person, hearing them, to respond. I didn't even want to respond after he said that because he was like, you got to listen and not respond.
And then, so I learned a valuable skill from Ron, our founder, because he and I watch, sometimes you're in an office and you're all kibitzing and chopping it up, and he'll be talking, but if someone interrupts him, he'll just stop and he'll just sit and wait. And I realize he's so conscious of listening to other people. If you interrupt him, he'll stop talking. Wow. He won't try and out-talk you. He's developed a very unique skill set.
Yeah, that is a unique skill set.
And I try and separate, because I have friends of mine that they're like, no, you're too like anal about this. I go, no, there's just a difference between, my friends don't always know how to, there's almost categories of this listening. If we're at a Dodger game together, and you're all bantering as guys, the rules are a little out the book. You're making fun of people and kibitzing, and the listening skills are a little out the door. You're going to override each other. You're going to say weird shit. It's when you're listening to people that are important in your life, your wife, your kids, your business partners. That's different. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, what other questions we got, Alec?
Well, I think we're kind of at the end of it, but we kind of want to say just thank you first off.
Oh, thank you, man.
So valuable.
Yeah.
I hope so.
For everyone listening, I hope you guys got a lot from this, because there's not a lot of opportunities we get to talk to you, to a person like Bruce. Yeah. And I was honestly thank you for being on today.
Oh yeah, thank you for inviting me. Mm-hmm. I actually brought a notebook to take notes, and then as we were recording, I realized I forgot it over there. I was like, well, we have it recorded anyway.
So recorded anyway.
I'm just going to go back and listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
No, but thanks for coming up. I know it's a drive, but
Oh no, this was gold.
Yeah.
I guess us walking away now, is there anything that you would want to tell a leader, a businessman, entrepreneur, something?
Yeah, a couple things. Start somewhere. Just start. Listen to your people, and also, just because you own a company or a CEO does not make you a good person. Sometimes you have to step back and evaluate. And I've helped people with this. People will not leave your organization if they're treated well and they're valued.
That's good.
And I can't tell you exactly how to treat your people, because sometimes it's interesting. I have conversations about culture. People are like, oh, we have a great culture. It is funny. I visited a guy just not that long ago. I want you to come by my office. He goes, all the employees, I don't think they like me. And I spent the day there, and he had a cool space, and he had a nice break room, and popcorn machine. He had all these amenities, snacks and coffee machines. I said, but at the end of the day, I said, you know what I noticed, because you told me you have an open door policy, but even when I notice employees walking down the corridor to get your office, you have a gatekeeper, you have an assistant that sits outside, and I watched her in action. Hey, what do you need? Where are you going? That's not a welcoming feeling. But I pointed out some things. He goes, that's really weird, because I think, I said, and on top of that, you hide in your office. I said, go out and hang out with your people. I said, do you know, you only have 40 employees. Do you know all their names? Well, not really. I said, you should know every one of their names. Mm-hmm. Go out and sit with someone in their cubicle, even if they're just a data person. And, engage with your people. Show them, hey, I'm really grateful you're here. Ron says it best, where at these big events, he'll go, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of you. And sometimes people think, well, I own the company. I don't need to. Of course you do. You better thank everyone in your company. And whether it's buying them lunch, whether it's doing special things, but I think people get caught up in, well, I'll have the VP handle that. I'll have the HR company handle it. No, you own the company. Mm-hmm. Get out of your seat. Go hang out with people. Go sit in a lunchroom and say, is there anything I could do better as a leader? But people get caught up in their egos. Anyway, I know I drug that out, but that's the biggest thing. Connect with your people and be respectful.
Yeah. Well, do you think that it's even, obviously ego, but also do you think sometimes as the owner, the leader, the person that's carrying the weight, do you think that they're like, well, I need to be working on certain things instead of saying, actually, now that I have a staff, I need to be delegating and then spending time with them?
Yeah. So Ron, as I said, I have 99 problems. Help take problems off my plate. So he's a visionary. He's also a genius in R&D. And then you have an integrator, the person that's running the show, the COO, the VP of everything. Let them deal with all the problems. You should be saying hello to everyone, seeing the greater vision, of course. Where are we going? What's the next 5 years look like? But everyone, if you're caught up in your office all day looking at spreadsheets and finances, you don't have the right team. They should be coming back to you every week. Hey, here's where we stand financially. Here's where we stand operationally. And you should be able to go out and say hi to people and meet people and talk to people and host events.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Getting more off your plate.
You should have nothing on your plate. The founder should have nothing on his plate except, I meet with my team once a week, and okay, where are we going with this? Great. Yeah.
That gives some vision.
Yeah.
To me, to a lot of the men, I'm sure to you.
I know guys, I have friends of mine, they work 70 hours a week. And I said, why aren't you delegating? Well, because because why? Because you're controlling. Like, let it go. Let people be responsible for the destiny of this company. I say it best. I've always had pride in ownership. I don't own the company, but I tell you right now, everyone thought I was the owner of Quest Nutrition. Everyone thought I was the founder. To this day, people will introduce me as founder. I go, no, I'm not the founder. Oh, come on, you're too humble. I go, no, I was not the founder. It's happening now at Legendary. I go places and people say, oh, this is Bruce, the founder of Legendary. I go, no, I'm not. I go, and they'll literally say he's just humble. I go, I'm really not. Like, I'm not some Howard Hughes guy. I'm not trying to pretend I'm not the owner. But because I have such pride in what I do, people think, okay, there's something wrong with him that you're so proud of it. Wearing it, my Jeep's wrapped, but I have pride in ownership. But it's the dividends have paid off like tenfold.
Yeah.
Huge. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you.
Sir.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
For everyone listening, same old, just like, subscribe. If they want to find you, Bruce, online, where can they find you?
No, my Instagram's primary, I guess, Bruce E. Cardenas. And then I have a website, brucecardenas.com. Okay. I have a book coming out called Lead with Value. That's a big deal. I'm just trying to wrap it up in editing phases. So we'll see where that goes.
Well, and also on your website, you offer coaching, right?
Yeah. I don't really advertise it because I don't, that's another thing I think it's got a bad rap in the world. Coaching, right? Coaching and courses and because I think there's a lot of frauds out there. I will just tell you this. Yes, I do help coach people, and I will talk to someone for free for a period of time. And if it makes sense, we'll do some business. But if you are going to hire a coach, vet them out, see what they're about. Ask, hey, can I have a couple of referrals? I know you said you have $1 million in the bank and you're driving a Lamborghini, but what's that really mean? Yeah. And it's crazy because I know nothing about real estate. I really don't. I mean, I always wished I'd gotten into it, but friends of mine will pay someone $30,000 to learn how to invest in real estate. And I go, did you look online? Did you see you could buy a flip for like no money down, the government programs, but you paid someone else to tell you how to flip a house. And once you go down that road, you're done. $30,000 probably could have got you 3 homes throughout, But I said, just do your homework. If you're going to hire a coach, please do your homework. Please. Don't get caught up in the hype of social media. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you. Hey, if you got value from today's episode, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, and a big thank you to Bruce Cardenas for bringing his $1 billion side hustle value to us, and a big thank you to Joe Angelo for guest hosting today. I'll link all their stuff down below so you guys can go follow them. And like I said, we love you. We will see you guys in the next episode.